Hey, and speaking of forever and always, well, the other day, I was tripping between the dimensions a little bit, flowing through that no man's land where, it seems like the two places are divided from you, yet they're gathered in you, and you're right there in the same place, but nobody dares to go there because it's halfway in between everywhere. Wow. And anyway, I was hanging out there, the old Wicked Witch and the Wicked Witch of the West, after her great meltdown and stuff. Well, she's been through a lot of, releasing of the trauma and all that good shit. You ought to see her now, man. Holy shit. I don't care, male, female, or dog, or cat, or buffalo, or, flat-tailed beaver, for all I know. You're all gonna melt down when you see this lady coming around, because, man, that Wicked Witch she's wickedly beautiful now, man. Let me tell you, it's cruelty in the great reverse, man. It's just so stunning and so gorgeous, you can't hardly stand to be in the presence of it, man. You see, now she's just trying to set a good example for you fine gentle ladies and gentlemen back there in that whole house we call Washington, D.C. and New York City and other little places like London and, Rome and L.A. and, Australia, Aussieland, and New Zealand, and Antarctica, and, well, all that places, man. Shoot. If I go on the list, I'll have to talk about every place on earth. And guess what? I don't see them divided in nations anymore, do you? Neither does the Wicked Witch. This wickedly beautiful witch has become the wickedly beautiful you-know-what, man. Wow. Talk about the hot chick on crack, man. I'm telling you. Only she vibrates. She's not sketchy like a crackhead would be, man. No way. She's expansively gorgeous from the inside out. The same way you're becoming today if you just stay tuned in here to this hazy radio network and listen up to little Obi-Wan Kenobi's heart. Now, for those that don't know and aren't acquainted just yet, Obi-Wan Kenobi is, well, of course, our mascot, but also our co-pilot. He's this little wiener dog that shines in this goldy color and got these soft, dewy eyes. It melts your heart, man. You'd be a big surprise if you see him face up. I know you can feel him right now, but guess what? You stay tuned in, baby, here at Spring Creek. You'll have that Spring Creek moment, and you'll see Oki's smiling face there, and get a little lick on your cheek from him or something, okay? 'Cause Oki's just that way. He's kind of sneaky. He's a whiny little weenie dog, man. He'd sneak up on you in the middle of the night when you least expect it, and there he'll be in your dream, giving you a little lick, say, "See, I love you too, man." See, it was just because he had to show you how love flows. When it comes from a dog, it's acceptable because we don't have a whole lot of judgments on dogs. A little, but not like we do on males and females and all the counter, and I won't counter that, but I will counter that, all that crap. You know what I mean. Well, anyway, it's just a little beyond all that kind of love. Well, that's the flow. That's the Spring Creek flow, man. And that's where the original love is, man. That's what dog reminds us of. That's why it's God spelled backwards. It's dog, man. Dog is our co-pilot, obviously, because we live in a backwards version of our reality. So everything's reversed. So, God went into the dogs and hung out for a while, okay? That's why they're precious to us to this day. You didn't know that before, did you? Oh, you did too? I knew it. I'm just teasing with you a little bit, but guess what, baby? You're setting the pace today, 'cause it's Trippin Tuesday here on the Hazy Radio Network when Grandpaw and Obi-Wan Kenobi, a yogi dog if ever there was one, and you can't pay him, man. He doesn't know what money is. Isn't that cool? All you yogis should be like that, this old man say with a big old grin. By the way, you guys got to pay me now, or I'm going to start revealing everything. I'm tired of, pretending that you guys wear robes are okay, man. We're going to get out your credit card records, for example. We're going to get out, your cell phone history. We're going to get out a long list and litany of, well, who's and what fors and all that good stuff. Never, never play the holier than thou shit and take money for it, okay? If you're going to play the holier than thou shit, you got to do it straight away. You can't do it just make believe and pretend like that and take money for it and, hump all the rich white women and stuff. I mean, come on, guys, that's tasteless, classless, and it shows that you're clueless, Now, you're supposed to be divine keepers of the heart and the presence of reality. Look at the pigsty that surrounds you, man. The poor excuse for humanity taking care of one. I mean, you're doing a lot better than they were, I know, but it's still a shithole. Get out there and spread that wealth around, man. Get out there and feed the people and take care of your fellow human beings like you're supposed to. Don't go sitting up in some golden palace and pretending that you're all better than everybody else. Because as long as there's one person suffering, nobody else is out of it either, baby. I don't care how enlightened you might think you might be and how expansive your thoughts are. Time to come back to reality. Time to come back to Mother, man. The Mother Love, the Mother Earth. You got to reroute yourself here so you know what the hell you're doing and be able to follow the flow, okay? See, it's a reversal, baby, just like dog is, okay? See, I tell you, we got truth on our face all around us, everywhere we go. And I understand it is rock and it is roll. So, you know, if I come from such a poor-ass place and we needed some riches there, you know, I might have done what you did too. I don't know. I don't pretend to judge you, you know. But I just say, let's not do it that way anymore, okay? Just get real with it. Just get rocking, man. For heck's sakes, you know. I actually got a few Buddhist monks to rock down with me at parties here and there in my lifetime. Maybe we can rock down in a whole different way now. Whether we're Buddhist or Hindu or just assholes, you know. We can be classy assholes, okay? In that reverse sort of way. See, that's another thing Spring Creek does. It reverses the flow, man. So now you know. See, it's got to get your heart out there in the open, man. And quit pretending you have one when you don't think you do. Yet you do love everybody, don't you? Especially them rich white. You know, I know. God, guys, you got a bad habit there. We'll work on that later. Just start being generous now, okay? We'll start somewhere, okay? Babies, it's a Trippin Tuesday, I warned you. Here on the Hazy Radio Network, you got that crazy old Grandpaw Coyote in the same sort of way, hanging out with his little doggy and all these angels here today, man. You better watch out, world. I hear thunder and lightning and everything that's frightening getting out of the way. And all this wickedness just, you know, becoming a fertile ground from which we rise up and play and blossom away, okay? It's that kind of day, a Trippin Tuesday, babies, you know. Just let the heart come out to play. Back in my day when I, you know, early days of trucking when trucks were made out of horsehair and talcum powder and stuff, you know, and heavy steel to boot, you know, and springs. What's that, Jack? We don't put springs on no truck, do we? No, we ain't got, springs can't hold up on a truck. You gotta just go right to the frame. In other words, you're gonna get beat to death going up and down the road in these lumpy highways of ours across America. It's crazy stuff, man, let me tell you. Well, back in that day, you know, life was just, you know, ding dong, the witch is not quite dead yet, man, you know, but son of a gun, you know, we needed to have some fun. We needed to learn how to wake up and go out and catch a little sun, catch some rays, you know, can set our hearts free, man. Learn to live and breathe a little more expansively than our parents' generation could, you know. I mean, it was all square-headed shit, man. They believed in Dragnet and what's his name, Webb, that guy, you know, Chuck Webb. I guess that was his name. I don't mean to insult anybody by not remembering your name properly, but, you know, the FBI guy, you know. Well, no, that was another guy, too. But anyway, all them straight-laced cops and all them straight-laced cop shows on the black and white televisions back in those days. Well, son of a gun, man. Life was black and white and as square-headed as that. And TV was mocking us back in those days, man, you know. People didn't quite realize that. But us hippie kids were sitting there chuckling in the background as our parents zombied out. Well, my parents never did, but a lot of kids' parents did. You know, if you had agricultural, rancher-type parents, well, guess what? They ain't going to sit down and watch no damn TV, except maybe at lunchtime just for see who wins the Price is Right. And next time we go down there, Bertha, to Los Angeles, we're going to get tickets. You got to go down to, they say Venice Beach. I heard that was no beach, but I don't know. Well, you know, everybody had a little TV in their life. You know, my dad in my home said, I grew up in a straight-laced mom, and I better not admit this morning. It's Trippin Tuesday. I don't want to flatten it out. But anyway, we didn't have TV till I was 12 years old, man, you know. And then I was already watching it at my aunt's and my friends' places. I was addicted to The Fugitive on Tuesday nights, man. I had to flush it, slough a church meeting to catch that show, and I was willing to risk my life and my freedom to go watch David Jansen run away or run after the one-armed man while running away from that evildoer of a cop, man. I mean, you know, see, my whole generation, I think the TV conditioned us a little bit, especially The Fugitive, to have a little bit of distaste for the authoritarian reality that protects one-armed men and illegally and wrongfully and immorally convicts a decent soul like David Jansen of, you know, being the one-armed man, you know. It just was such a sad and tragic thing, baby, but so compelling in its drama. But that was the square-headed reality we lived in. We had to transform that some way. You know, we're just dumb little dipheads like our parents are and everybody else before them, all the generations. We didn't have any more brilliance than anybody else did. Might have had a little more life, or at least we were a little more loose about it, I think. I think a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of that generation across the earth were reincarnated souls from previous WWII or whatever, you know what I mean? And I think when they expired in that one, they said, no more, no, we've done this one too many times, kids. If you want us to come back here, it's no more woe. Done, done, done. See, so I think a lot of our hippie generation kids, begin with my generation, they're the beginning edge of the baby boom, man. Well, son of a gun, you know, I think a lot of us had that resolve when we were born into this world, that we just weren't going to let it devolve into a pile of warlike shit. That we were going to change the world, just like, you know, Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young could so well compel in that musical tune-out. That was one of our anthems, babies, back in the day, man, when we really started to wake up and challenge the reality around us, you know. Even the authority of the FBI, who, of course, infiltrated and tried to corrupt everything. I mean, goodness, it always gets so crazy, man. But at least, you know, the music, the tunage helped us, along with the sweet Mary J., who came our way and said, ooh, what a sweet generation. I want to be one with you. And we says, okay. And we gave it up for Mary J. Now, a lot of folks later on had to go back the other way because they invented this thing called piss testing and hair tests and stuff, you know. Ooh, the Nazis are going to impose their authoritarian thing on you one way or another, aren't they, man? But, see, our generation knew better, even though a lot of it in the ultimate end had to subvert itself to that reality, just out of economic necessity, as they say. You see, we're learning to live beyond that now. You know, most of us, those that have survived, not a lot. I mean, you know, there's a lot of fallen soldiers in the army of love out there, let me tell you. But when they go down, guess what? They come around, man. And they, you know, all that good energy they were carrying before they got, you know, corrupted by, you know, the China White or whatever, you know, before they went down that long path. Man, that stuff pops out, and it's everywhere, not just in one person anymore. I mean, they can share their energy all over the place, so their experience now becomes a part of the ever-increasing enlightenment of humanity, just because they were able to gut through such a thing as all that and manage to keep that sparkle alive for a while, you know, and just let it shine, man. So then, no matter how evil the empire around you that helps you produce his music and distribute it and all that good shit, you know, it doesn't really matter because it's not given at that level. Tunage is given at this level where it says, okay, people, time to wake up. That's why you hear me playing the roosters crowing every now and then. Time to wake up, kids. Time to expand and grow. Time to learn to experience a little bit more of what we would call multidimensional. But at first we had to get through all these human fixations, you know, and get over this square-headed nature, the tendency to fall into authoritarian places or to draw to us these people that are always trying to take charge, you know, and rule over you in some way. They're like, I mean, you know, it's almost Lord of the Flies, but not quite that obscene, but almost. But at least we gave it the effort. You wouldn't believe it back in the 60s. You know, you could go to a place like Boise, Idaho, where I resided for a bit, and you could sit down there at this big round table in the back end of Denny's coffee shop, open 24/7, thank heaven. And you could sit down and have a cup of coffee a little morning after the bar breakfast if you wanted to, whatever. You know what I mean? Didn't matter what you were doing there. As long as you were doing a cup of coffee anyway, then you were okay. That's the price of admission, man. You know. And babies, people from all walks of life are gathered there. But a lot of the youngsters of my generation, I was around, 18, 20, somewhere in those years, And son of a gun, we would go around and around questioning and poking and prodding at all the deep ethereal things in life, the exploration of communal living in all its various forms. We would verbalize and dream about, etc., talk about what we want to do, what we want to be, where we wanted to go with this thing once the war was over. We knew we were going to end that war. Oh, my God. What a struggle all that turn. I mean, it always gets infiltrated. It always gets corrupted and polluted. But who cares? The music's still there. The heart and soul of it. The rock and roll of it. The rhythm of the heart of humanity. Conveyed back to us in that raggedy-ass sort of way that we've been living. Only rock and roll could convey that kind of transformative energy, So we've been building up to it musically for the last 500-600 years, in case you didn't notice. A lot longer process than that, but that essentially when it started up that ascending curves that leads to pinnacle moments, man, which is about now, I mean, you got to think about it, man. The comedy of this life, the tragedy of it is that it's always love. Every bit of it, you see. And that's real difficult to grasp when you're living in the 3D. It takes, like that previous generations, man, it takes tremendous courage inside of yourself to really challenge that, to move beyond youthful impulses, to just rebel and to go to places where you really do live beyond that bullshit. And you try to bring it into a reality in the world around you just by being it. And if there's any other way to convey, you'll look for it. You're open to it, man, whatever it is. You'll be that lightning rod of love because that's what you're made of. And when you realize that, well, what do you know? You're in love with everything. And every frickin' buddy there is and everything there is around every frickin' everybody. Oh, we're keeping it sanitary today. Oh, Santa Claus is on his way, man. Coming through your heart today on his Trippin Tuesday and delivering the goods in every way because we got Mary Jane aboard our sleigh. We can't miss, baby. She rides with us all the time since our generation. Well, thank goodness for the tribal folks that kept her alive through all the generations and brought her to these generations of all of us, all the nations and tribes of the earth began to accept the herbal reality of the magic mystery of the sacred herb we call Mary Jane in a metaphorical way. But everybody started getting into it. I can even remember I think it was still in the 60s when the cowboys started smoking it, man. Maybe it was the early 70s. They're always a little slow about that kind of thing, but boy, once they got it, all of a sudden country worston started sounding like rock and roll, man. And, I mean, it was still, well, anyway, we won't go there and talk about the theory of it, but it sure opened up a whole new realm over there in Nashville and Muskogee, too. Funnier than hell, Merle Haggard singing that song was probably higher than a kite on some of Willie's weed the day he recorded that thing. It's funnier than hell. It's pure ironic comedy, but a lot of people took it straight up. And then all them cowboys over there in Muskogee got curious. Hey, hippie, let me try a toke of that shit. And looking at you and scowling at you, got his hand on his gun on his hip like he's ready to draw any time now. Don't you try nothing, hippie. Little by little, though, we wore them down just by suffering through some of their punishments on us. Because you got to understand, it's the way of the world, the way, that the influence has been in these realities. if there's any kind of movement in the 3D that's going to move it a little beyond that, well, there's always going to be, these divisionary forces that'll make cowboys and Indians out of us all and always have it at each other's throat. And, the hippies were just trying to get along in the world and have long hair and, smoke good herb and share the love, share the wealth, and listen to the rock and roll and create some etc. Just jamming down with the peeps and having a great time. Peace on earth, baby. And it was time for humanity to blossom out, and the music just compelled us into it, man. We tossed it all overboard for a while, man. Take your inheritance and shove it, boy, a little bit later on. Daddy, I didn't really mean it, but that was a few years later. After life kicked you around a bit, those ulterior forces creep in and pollute and corrupt it all. But at the same time, you can't pollute and corrupt love. And when you get to that point, and this was one of the beginnings of it, that expansion into it, you see there is no pollution or corruption. That everything is in a smooth flow of this moment right now. Don't you know? It's called Stream of Life. It's called Spring Creek. It's an original moment. It's where life first bubbles up into being, yet it's the experience of all of that being. All of that creation in that little bubbling up moment, see? Headwaters, truth, reality. When you're living in that, then you're living beyond the 3D, even while being in the 3D, unless you decide to withdraw at some point. It can be done, but you don't really want to, babies. We're a team, man, the whole of humanity. We're a united heart. I know it looks like, well, look at what happened with the cowboys and the hippies. Even though they were, bitterly opposed and stuff, the hippies took a lot, man. Let me tell you, cowboys kicked the crap out of you all the time, man. Cut your hair in evil sort of way and stuff like that. They were just being cowboys. But once the Mary Jane snuck in, it started to chill out, and pretty soon you couldn't tell cowboy from a hippie. There wasn't the division anymore. Such is the tendency of Mary J. when she comes into a place kind of respected and kind of, wanted, her essence. And it doesn't have to be that sacred herb. It can just be her essence, because her essential energy is everywhere. It's what everything's made of. And that's what that little herb, that sacred herb, them green flowers reflect back to us, man. Back to us. Boy, I stumble around a bit these days. You can tell it's wearing on me. You better, send good love in Grandpa's way all the time, man. Just keep me propped up, baby, because you don't want me to fall over at this stage of the game. We're pretty close now. I thought I saw a brilliant buffalo on the horizon the other day, and it had its head way up in the sky and was saying, hi, hi, hi. Now, baby, I don't, pretend to be anything more than you are, but that's what I've seen, Jellybean. And it says, time to open that door. And this morning, I was out there talking to that morning star. She says the time is right, man. This Venus energy now, it's not necessarily planet Venus. I'm sure she's a huge part of it, but, it's Venus energy. It's everywhere right now, you see. We're starting to wake up, babies, and move beyond this 3D, no matter how bad they've messed with us. See, because once you start a flow just like the rock and roll, you couldn't stamp it out if you tried, man. It just grew and grew everywhere, just like the Mary Jane does, man, And more people got into it. They saw other people, growing and expanding, and they got curious, How come those guys can lay around all day and eat donuts and stay alive, for one, and two, have such great understanding, and three, work together so well as kind of a communal energy, just kind of happens naturally. That's what happened back in the hippie days, and it got polluted away, of course, because our little personalities weren't quite ripe enough for it yet. But at least we blazed a trail. We got it going on, man. Throughout my life, I've always tried to get a communal thing rocking one way or another, to the point where I just won't do it anymore. I'm just like that. It's going to flow in. And I'm just going to go in. If that's the way it's got to be, it's the way it's going to be. Because it has to form itself naturally. You see, you can't do it the old way of the 3D, get out a business plan and, hire a contractor and, get some fundraising, capital raising going on one sort or another stuff like, nah. That is so archaic. That's caveman shit. That's why the world's about ready to cave in on itself. You better thank your lucky stars that we have what are called wisdom keepers still alive in this reality from hundreds of years ago, even though their bodily presence may have returned to the earth quite some time ago. Their mystical presence is here, keeping us in a space where it's a safety zone. A hologram inside of a hologram, kind of, So, because they knew what would happen. The moment they saw the invasion coming, these wisdom keepers, who got their wisdom by opening up to death and finding life in an odd sort of way, just happened to a few hundred souls when an epidemic hit. Way in the way back, when there was pyramid people living in the middle heartlands of Turtle Island, man. It was a real different time then. Well, so's this now. But that's where all that comes from, back in those days, And they saw this coming, these wisdom keepers, and they knew they had to protect Mama from this lusting heart that hadn't woke up yet, and needed to beat up on its mama a little more before it could. So they created a division in reality. I mean, it's easy when you're already feeling divided. Creating another division ain't such a big deal. That's what the scientific community's been trying to create over there at CERN. At least that's what some people tell me. Hell, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, I'm just an engineer. Driving that train high on cocaine, baby. No way. I don't do the man stuff, do you? Well, here, let me send out if you're doing the man stuff, the cocaine and stuff, the smack and all that, let's send out let's help each other get out of that shit, okay? Let's neutralize the addictive quality right now of all the opiates in this reality, just for fun. Just to show people that it can be done. Let's just unite our heart and just have a happy little thought. Oh, wow, look at that. Morphine, heroin, Oxycontin, whatever, man. None of that's addictive anymore. It just helps you relieve your pain, and it's a nice thing to have when you need it, and nobody particularly craves it at all. Never will, and never have anymore, you see. I will fight no more forever. See, that's kind of same thinking. And that you neutralize the toxicity of any situation. But since this one's so critical, and there is indeed a war upon the heart of the people, well, there has been, let's say, we'll just neutralize the toxicity in it today by taking the effect of its drug away, you see. Just letting it be helpful. And this will do with all energies in this life. It'll spread out from here, but this is a good beginning. It's a spring creek thing. You gotta start somewhere, right? So let's start with those addictive qualities and the downer reality that eventually, burns your body out and sends you away again, and prematurely, it seems anyway. So we just let go of all that. Nothing you can take that's made of the poppy anymore, or has that essence in it, is going to do anything but charm you and disarm you and help you become the living heart that you are. Help you move beyond the concept of pain. You won't need a painkiller anymore. You see, you don't need to kill anything, least of all the pain, because there won't be any. It dissolves into a confident kind of energy. I don't know how to describe it. It kind of reinterprets itself. Some people call it transformation. I just call it being present in your heart. Just being willing to be what you are already. Letting it flow, don't you know, just like Spring Creek, man. That little trickle of water that becomes the whole stream of life as it proceeds on its journey. But now the trickle starts here and expands in all directions. Because that's the real flow of life, don't you know? That's the way it goes, man. It's a blossoming flower. Just try to conceive of it as that. And maybe you see the flow, babies. And you're part in it too, don't you know? Hey, having some fun getting it clear here in that rock and roll sort of way. On a Trippin Tuesday, only and exclusively on the Hazy Radio Network with Grandpaw Coyote. One Kenobi Dog is our co-pilot, especially today. Gotta have somebody reliable, man, 'cause boy, you know when I'm partying, wow, watch out. I fly really high just for safety's sake, okay? Spring Creek, the place you always wanted to be, 'cause that's the place you already are.